folks, Ben Alexander, thank you for joining me. This is the first live stream I've done ever, I think, actually. I think I once did one very briefly a couple of years ago. Loads to talk about, and yeah, I apologise in advance for all the coughing. Genuinely still recovering, not that well. But we have lots to talk about, and I think we have four people with us. And I know this is ridiculous, but I think actually Mum is one of them. I told her I'm going to do a live stream, and she thought it was really funny. So she's with us. You can say hello to Mum in the comments, by the way. She's called Denise. She's very lovely. The best mum in the world, I think, actually. So some of the things we're talking about today, because we have lots of interesting things to talk about. Trump, I never talk about Trump. It's very rare because he's very clickbaity. People just monetize that. I don't like to do that. But there are some actually interesting things to say. And well, one particular thing I'll talk about. Also, Rutger Bregman. I've got some notes down here if you're wondering why I'm looking away all the time. Rutger Bregman, Davos 2025. Davos this year is going to be a fascinating thing. Elon Musk also. I saw a clip recently of him slating BYD, and I thought it was mad funny, hilarious, like the funniest thing I've seen so far this year. And it's only 21 days into the year, but that's really good because they now sell more cars than Tesla, and I would argue maybe better cars. I don't know. Anyway, how's the audio going? I should check. So we have 3 people with us. How's the audio going? What is that? Gamer Trojan, Mighty Oaks from the Small Acorns. Is that where's Small Acorns? That sounds like you're telling me where you live. I have no idea where that is or what country it is. But I know your name. I've seen your name in the comments before. Hello. Nice to see you. And yeah, anyway, so let's get started, shall we? Apologies in advance for the coughing. It is coming. I know it's coming. I can feel it. I had bronchitis and my lungs are still sore 5 weeks on, so that's awful. So, feel also very much this chat is about the comments section largely. I've got lots of things to talk about, but anything you want to ask, anything at all about me or anything, just put it in the comments. Anything at all. I always get the same comments though about the BYD Seagull. Is it coming to the UK? Is it coming to Europe? Yes and yes, basically. So, and yeah, we'll talk about a few things anyway. So I'll probably try and keep this at 20, 30 minutes long. It won't be too long, so feel free to laze around and grab a cup of tea and pop back or something. This year, Davos is in 2025 is themed Collaboration for the Intelligent Age, which I think is a really interesting way of wording it. Also, safeguarding the planet. So we basically have, lots of billionaires and millionaires rocking up to, I think, Switzerland somewhere, in Davos, in Switzerland, after they've just flown there in a plane. And they'll talk about how to save the world, basically, how to be heroes with all the money they've hoarded. I'm not a fan of them, obviously. And obviously, EVs are a cornerstone in decarbonising the travel sector, obviously. But I maintain it. Maybe I'm not supposed to say this. It's not the most conventional thing to say, I suppose. But EVs are greener than petrol and diesels. But it's a car. It's not green. Nothing's green. So we can definitely take it in the right direction. That's what I always chat about. But yeah, sound is fine. Thank you. And that was just a bit of a yes. Oh, I don't mind, honestly. There's 5 people here now. I understand from the couple of live streams I've ever been, live talks I've ever seen on the internet, people come and join and leave and that sort of thing. That's okay. And then when it's live and it will stay on here afterwards, people will, watch it over the coming weeks and stuff, and that's fine. And there's also an interesting live. I think the one live I did actually was at the BYD Dolphin launch event at SeaWorld in Australia on the East Coast, and but it was demonetized because of some music, which I don't really care about the monetizing of it. It's all right. That's not the point. Yeah, so if you remember a couple of years ago, was it 2019? I can't remember what year it was. Rutger Bregman, I've read his books, by the way, really awesome books, and you should definitely read his books. Just give him a Google. He's a really interesting Dutch guy, about my age. And yeah, basically he went to Davos was invited, was on a stage, and then slated people for being wealth hoarders and not paying taxes, and how they're always, the political elites basically are always banging on about how they're there's loads of economies are creating jobs, for example, but not the quality of their jobs. I think there was a lady who had to wear diapers to work because she was literally not allowed to leave whatever she was doing or something. So interesting stuff. And he's just an interesting guy. He's not invited this year, interestingly. He made light of that. So, and he's probably not going to be going ever again. But yeah, you should definitely Google him. So I'm excited to talk about Davos this year. Also, Donald Trump, he's basically, today's a big day. You probably know this, don't you? Anyone who's got a pair of eyes and you're looking on the internet, you've seen Trump just pop up. He's just lacing YouTube at the minute, everywhere you look. And he is getting rid of the 50% EV target in the US set by Biden. I'll get lectured. I always get lectured for saying things wrong, but what a lot of people don't know is I'm from the north of England, so by default I say things weirdly. And then I lived in Norway for a long time, and so my accent's all over the place, really. Yeah, anyway, they're getting rid of that. But it's not all bad, because I think it's the next video, one of the next 2 videos coming out, GM are back with us again. That's pretty nice. They've got the GM Bolt, the Chevy Bolt, and they've just ordered 1.2 million batteries worth of minerals from a company in Norway whose name I can't remember, but it looks like they're actually going to be trying at life, trying to make a few dollars from EVs rather than stopping, because they did pause with the Bolt and then they kept on going again. So sadly, 7 people with us. Hello, people. Feel free to join in on the chat, and I will periodically have a look and try and have a bit of a natter, and any questions you've got at all, just write it in there. And yeah, that's all right. What else can I talk about? There's lots of things to talk about. Yeah, one thing that Trump said, I don't watch all this stuff. I don't like to encourage the algorithm, but one thing he did say, I've read this on the internet, I didn't watch him say this because I refused to click on the videos too much. But quote, the United States will not sabotage our own industries while China pollutes with impunity, said Donald Trump during a ceremony at Capital One Arena in the US. And yeah, he's not a big fan of EVs. You might not notice. He loves Trump, Musk though, doesn't he? But yeah. Also, a chap called Dan Becker said this: our kids and everyone with lungs will pay the price for these politically motivated rollbacks of protections for our air and the climate. And he's a really interesting guy. He's the director of the Safe Climate Transport campaign at a place. And I can't remember the next bit. But yeah, he's a really clever guy, really interesting guy. And when you get, I don't really get ill very often, never. But I recently got ill. And it was my lungs, and you realize what it might be like to actually get ill in a much more serious way with your lungs when you have something like bronchitis or pneumonia. It really, you feel like you're dying. It's horrendous. And yeah, there's so many diesels still knocking around the roads, and every time they go by, I breathe it in, and I can feel it, and it sucks. You don't really feel it when you're healthy in your lungs, but when you have an illness, just even a diesel soot. And one or 2 cars going by, you start coughing your ass off, basically. So it's not very nice. Do we really think non-Tesla US EVs will have a future? Oh, you provocative question. Gamer Trojan, what is your actual name? Because yeah, it's funny. Loads of people in the comments, they always say stuff, and I think I like to say, "Oh, hello, Kevin," but they've got some people have really weird names, such as Gamer Trojan, So yeah, let me know your name. I think so for sure. The non-Tesla US EVs. It depends where, doesn't it? Really, in Europe, especially in places like Australia, for example. They're quite inclusive. Australia, very inclusive. It doesn't matter if it's well, maybe not French cars. They don't really buy French cars in Australia, but for sure, any Asian countries or Chinese countries, or I mean, I'm surprised they don't have Russian cars on the market in Australia. They're very inclusive. Europe, I don't know. There's a lot of protectionism going on. I don't really know about that. If BYD, I sort of feel as though when BYD make this new plant active and they start producing cars in Europe, in Hungary, in the second half of this year, at the same time as the Indonesian plant will be done, what next? What will be that? Now they've avoided the tariffs and they can produce a car in Europe and then drive it a few hundred kilometers and sell it to French people. What will the European Union say then? Because the European Union, I think a lot of people generally might consider the European Union to be globalists, maybe. So what then? What then when we come back? If they've avoided the tariff, I genuinely think the Chinese business people like BYD, they're super witty. I reckon they'll figure something out or manipulate things in such a way that they can start selling their cars here. And they're too good. They're just too good. People know about it. So I don't think it will just be all about Teslas, And there is talk about whether Tesla will bring out even cheaper cars than the Model 3, for example. Will they even bring out a Model 2? Will they just bypass it and go straight to robo-taxis? And yes, it's a bit of a weird time we're living in. So I don't know. I really don't know. But anyway, yeah, for sure, my money is completely on non-Tesla US EVs will make it. Whether they'll survive in the US, I have no idea. God knows. I've really got no clue at all. It's not looking great, is it, with Trump? So, yeah, that's not looking great for sure. And, yeah, it's quite bold, isn't he? But I think so. It depends where you're talking, though. Australia, they're fine. UK, I think they'll be fine. Europe, probably fine, but there's a question, isn't there, over the European Union. And the US, I don't know. Basically, to survive in the US, it seems as though you've almost got to be American. And James Sutherland, hello James. Sorry, all my things are flashing up. I've got my phone here, and that's flashing up. I think Mum just messaged me. Hello, Mum. I know she's watching me. She said, "Hello. Can everyone say hi to Mum again?" That's quite funny. I mustn't do that. I'm a grown man. I should do that. Anyway, yeah, James Sutherland. Sorry, we tried Russian cars here in Australia, and they didn't sell very well. Really? What brand was it? I don't know about any Russian cars here. I watched a guy on the telly on YouTube, and he was driving around in Russia in a GWM. I think it was called a Tank 300 or 500, and yeah. But I thought I actually heard something recently that they actually produce some of them in Russia, but they don't. I don't think. I'm pretty sure they don't. But anyway, I don't think it's. I think it's a handicap. The public image of Russia at the minute might thwart their success. You know what I mean? Hey, Melinda Bates. Hello, Melinda. Hello, Denise. Yes. There you go, Mother. We should all make Mum famous, shouldn't we? If I knew how to be a more techie YouTuber, I could flash pictures up and I could, yeah. I think there's a guy on the internet on Marketplace a couple of years ago. He kept selling things for a couple of years, like a garden blower and a mower and all these different things. He always had a funny picture of his mum holding them, selling them. And I thought, this is comedy gold, genius. Darren Murphy. I've seen your name before loads of times, Darren. Hello. Why do many YouTubers celebrate the demise of many legacy automakers? So, I don't know. There's a whole range of YouTubers, right? I can't name names. It's painful. I'd love to say some names. I would love it, but I'm not going to. There are YouTubers that are like content farms. They make loads of videos every day. They pay for someone to make the scripts and edit the videos, and then they get famous from it and they make loads of money, hundreds of thousands of dollars a year. And then you get other ones that are like rage baiters, and they say stuff about, I don't know, Darren. I don't know. Do I? I don't know. I see your comments. I don't know. But yeah, I write it all myself. I edit everything myself. And maybe I'm lazy. I should do more, because actually there's loads of people in the comments that are annoyed when I don't post for a week. And but I'm ill. I've been ill. That's a brilliant excuse. It's great to take a month off and sack life off. But now I actually got a couple of emails where people are getting really annoyed. And sorry, but that's a weird position. Anyway, yeah, there's rage baiting ones. Again, I won't say, but I know for a fact, if you know me and if you know a couple of other YouTubers, you'll know exactly who they are. There's the rage baiting ones, and it's painfully obvious. There's also a fire person. A fireman in America keeps posting stuff about electric cars because he keeps getting loads of views on his videos. How shallow is that? No integrity at all. None at all. Laughable. What a plonker, honestly. And yeah, I won't say enough about that. That's why I think, because there's money in it on YouTube, I should probably watch what I say on YouTube, but there is definitely this whole sort of legacy media, mainstream media, often have an angle, and they know they can monetize the once a year when a car in their country sets on fire. And I think there was London Heathrow Airport, a car set on fire, and of course the British media would say, "Oh, electric car set on fire, destroyed a couple of cars," and then they realized it was a diesel, and then they shut up immediately. It's very boring, and so that's why it's all about money, and it's painfully obvious, that on here on YouTube, you can either talk about things. What I try to do is just talk about what I actually see. I'm not kidding when I say this, but a spoon is a spoon. If a car is rubbish, but there's loads of people talking about it on YouTube and everyone says they love it, if I think it's rubbish, I'll say, I'll bloody say it's rubbish. I don't like it. But yeah, it depends which side of the coin you're on. You either talk about everything in like a conspiracy sort of way, or you just say everything Chinese is rubbish, because of course there's loads of people who drive utes, in Australia, or loads of people that just hate anything to do with China and they hate it and they're coming for us. And so it's really that shallow on YouTube, honestly. But I like to have integrity, so I don't do that. But yeah, that's why many YouTubers celebrate the demise of many legacy automakers, even though all automakers probably do certain things that are not very good, like harvest data and things like that, which is annoying. I don't like that. But Toyotas, they're great, aren't they? They've always been great, right? In the 80s and 90s, they were good. In the noughties, they were really good. They're a bit less good now, but they're still really good cars. They work. They feel really nice and stuff. But they do a few things that are a bit shafty and not very good. For example, like they opt people into the data service where it sends them data, and then they can sell that data on. Legacy Murray S. Murray. Hello, Murray. Have I seen your name before? I don't know. Murray S. Legacy auto in China is deep trouble. 56% NEVs, new energy vehicles. What do you mean? Legacy is deep trouble. Yeah, they're selling mostly electric vehicles now and hybrids, but they're more than happy to sell cheap small EVs in China, which is a really awesome thing, and that's probably helping their sales, I reckon, because lots of people, especially in China, where there's lots of cities, lots of little hubs, kind of like Australia. You've got Sydney, Melbourne, Perth, Adelaide. Generally speaking, I think 80% of people live in a city, and then the surrounding areas. You can get by with a 200-kilometer range, easy peasy. But it's when you live in a village like, say, I don't know, Tenterfield or something, or you live 3 hours west of a city, there's an issue with electric cars, with the range. But even then, it's doable. You can survive, But yeah, I should know, because I think I'm like 3 hours. Depends on the time of day, but 3 hours 40, 3 hours 30 from Brisbane, for example, where I am. And yeah, I lived in Brisbane for a while, and yeah, so that's that. Feel free to put any questions in the comments, by the way. Otherwise, I've got some notes to talk about. But also, I must apologize yesterday. Sorry about the camera muck-up. I mucked that right up. I haven't done a live before, and I chose to have some extra software on the computer to control the camera and the microphone. And that just didn't work. So I mucked it up. So I just pushed it back. I hate doing that, because I know I'd take some stick for it, but fortunately no one said anything, so that's nice. But yeah. Do I prefer the BYD Seagull or the new Ion or Aeon, whatever? I personally prefer the Seagull because it's awesome. If I could buy one in black, I'd buy one in black. But They're both really good. They're both great, honestly. And I've looked at people say this thing, right? It's I shouldn't really talk about it, but I like BYD a lot because I go out and I film with all these cars. I don't even film with them a lot of the time. I just literally go and look at them, drive them, and charge them up and do things, and go on long trips. And I drive around, and yeah, I've been recognized and noticed when I go into showrooms and just look at the cars and look in the wheel arches and look at the brakes, look underneath, look at the bolts, try and wobble stuff. Because I talk about it in a public place, so I need to know what I'm talking about. But also, I don't want to tell people to buy a car if it's crap, basically. Or I don't want to say, I don't want it to feel as though I'm encouraging someone to buy a car that's clearly crapper than the rest. One thing that's really apparent to me, with the exception of the lack of any clear coat on the backs of the bonnets, BYDs in the car world at the minute are pretty up there in the top 2 companies for brands in regards to the tech that they have. Also, if you dismantle and look at the schematics and look at some reverse engineered parts and chipboards and stuff, they're just very good at it. And when they put sealants around gaskets, they do it all properly, and they do a good job of actually building their cars. It's almost Toyota level quality, but with the exception of the clear coat on the back of the bonnet, which is a pet peeve of mine. But seemingly nobody else thinks that. When I say that on the internet, nobody cares. And but I think it's just like right in front of your customer's face, you're going to choose not to. You've got the metal bonnet, and then you've put it into a room, you've electrocoated it, you've sprayed both sides with color, and then you just opt to not just spray that bit of extra clear coat on the back. Why? Because now you've got BYD, if you're listening, you've got a person slating that on the internet now for no reason, just because you're lazy. I can't accuse them of being lazy, honestly. Anyway, so that's that. I prefer the Seagull. So I think sometimes the Seagull statistics or the metrics are not as good as some other brands, but that's fine. It's definitely okay with me. I don't mind that. So that's good. And you should also be able to buy one at the end of the second half of this year. You should be able to go on the website in Europe, order one, and then hopefully collect it or have it delivered the next year, 2026. Hopefully, that's the plan. That's my understanding anyway. So recently did the Gold Coast to Sydney trip, no issues. I know, that is a cool trip, isn't it? Gold Coast to Sydney, that's a long trip though. I noticed you stopped in Sydney, you didn't keep going. Why was that? It is a big one, isn't it? I've done the whole thing right down, and I went to Melbourne and then through Melbourne, but I didn't go further. And yeah, if you go to Melbourne, it's very nice, really is. And the trip down there is very nice. But when you go from Sydney to Melbourne, it's very rural as an English European sort of person. To go for 3 hours and see basically nothing is crazy to me. It really is crazy. Do I have any news on the environment of the cities in China these days? The air quality has said to have gotten way better. I'm not sure. There's so many cities. How could I possibly do it? Just spend 20 minutes and go on Google Maps. It's laughable. China is mad. I mean, insane. It's another world. I was flying over. Where was I going? I think I was coming to Australia on the last trip, and flying over China. And for probably like 30 minutes, it was just a city underneath. It was like skyscrapers and skyscrapers, skyscrapers. And then you look on the internet, and there's millions of people in these cities, and then there's like huge mad. China is, for a European person, it's actually kind of hard to comprehend what China is, and then unless you fly over it and then you start looking on the maps at the data, it's ridiculous. It's crazy, honestly. You can see how people might feel like a number in China, how you're just a number, and how Europeans might be looked at as something to, like Europe looks like a little cute place, like a cute village compared to China. It's ridiculous. Certain people know it. If you've gone to China, or I don't know, for sure Elon Musk knows this, but a lot of people, I don't think they quite grasp how big it is and how crazy it is. Anyway, yeah. How does the Seagull, which is a year away, at least in Europe? I don't know. I don't think it is a year away. I think you should be able to order it by the end of this year. The Hungary plant in the place that I can't pronounce. I'm not going to do that. That plant will be finished this year, and then it will come online, and they're producing cars this year. That's what they've said. And there's actually a channel on YouTube, and I will endeavour to put it in the description afterwards. And he flies over with a drone and films it, and he's checking in on it. It's pretty good. I used some of their footage once. It was really great. And yeah, and then you should be able to take a delivery in 2026. That's the plan. That's what they've said. There's a couple of people in BYD I talk with sometimes, and they tell me stuff that they're probably not supposed to, but they do, which is really nice that I've got that contact. So yeah, you should be able to get that. Where's Phillip Island? There's loads of places in Australia I don't know. Loads. It's laughable. Sydney to Phillip Island, return twice with no issues. Yeah, it's pretty cool. It's pretty cool. What car do you have, Murray? Murray, not Darren. Sorry, Murray. What car do you drive? Yeah. So, how does the Seagull, which is a year away, compare to the EC3, Renault 5, the Insta, Leap Motors, the new one? It may be too late. How does it compare? Well, should I just chirp on about the battery cooling or not? I don't know. The battery cooling is a big issue for me. That really bugs me. And I did a poll, and I think it was like 79 or 89% of people agreed that anything bigger than an e-bike should absolutely come with a comprehensive battery thermal management system on it. It's too expensive to faff around. And I got a comment the other day. Someone was saying the Nissan Leaf beats the BYD Dolphin on all the metrics. Maybe you think it does, and maybe in the first year, maybe you prefer the Nissan Leaf, but the data is goes against it. So, as in the heat is destroying the batteries. Even people in the UK, there are lots of people. If you go on the market to look at buy one, they have buggered batteries, and they're like 6 years old, 5 years old, 8 years old, like actually buggered. It's hit or miss. I think it's not great, really. There is a company though. Who was it now? On top of where I'm doing a live video, but if I could have a second to think, there's a lady that emailed me in China the other day, and she sells batteries, I think, for like $5,000-$6,000 and delivers them to Europe. And they have a company. Seems legit. I don't know. I'll also put that in the description at the end. And they sell you, I don't know, was it like 40 kilowatt hour batteries, 50 and 60 for Leafs. And I thought that was nifty, really. I'm sure there's a few of those, but it's all about the cooling, in my opinion, especially if you're in hot climates. It really doesn't take many hot days to destroy a battery. And, when you're pulling up in a city or something, and then you park, all the floor has all the heat just coming straight into the battery for hours. Yeah, Nissan may not be with us in the near future. Yep, you're probably right, Darren. Yeah, probably. It's just sad, isn't it? I used to drive around in a Leaf as well. I used to love the Leaf. Awesome. And yeah, really nice. I remember thinking the Nissan Leaf, the original one, the weird looking one, looks like a frog. Yeah, I thought that was, I thought people who had that car on the inside, they were laughing at people on the outside because they were having a really nice experience of driving it. Really, really nice. But it's all about the battery. It's expensive. Maybe it's all right for a few of us who are geeks like me who would just be fine to replace it with one that you buy from China or something, from AliExpress or wherever, but I wouldn't do that, really. But I would if I had a contact somewhere. Anyway, yeah, the Insta has a heat pump. That will definitely help it, and because it's not the biggest battery in the world, but it's definitely big enough. But having a heat pump will definitely help it in the winter, in cold climates, Northern Europe, that sort of stuff. And yeah, would I have an Insta or a BYD Seagull? God damn it. Good one. Good question there, isn't it? I don't know if I could answer it. I don't know. Maybe the Insta. I really like the Insta. I really like the inside. It's really, really nice. And I like the seats. I like to go around and camp around and pull up and cook noodles at the side of the road and sit and just look at a view. I like to do that. One issue for me, which I don't think many people would care about, is the back seats. If you open the boot, there's a boot, it looks like it's recessed down, and then the seats are on top of it, and they don't go flat. And I know some people they do some stuff where they fill the boot up a bit and they put some wood over it and they can make a bed in the back. You can do that, but the Insta is way better for that, in my opinion. So I would potentially get Insta, maybe, because it's a bit more modest. And Hyundai is getting all right now, really. They're getting all right. I would never have gotten a Hyundai 5-10 years ago, but I would now, actually. They're really nice. They drive really good. So maybe, but I don't know, it's hard to knock off the BYD Seagull from the top. It's good chemistry. I like it. My Insta, you're in Ireland. You're getting an Insta. Let me know how it goes. That's cool. I was watching a guy drive around Ireland today, completely pissing it down with rain, and he was slipping and sliding around the road. And I thought, there's a guy having fun. That's cool. One of my favorite things about Northern Europe. I missed this when in the time I've spent in Australia. It rains constantly, and when it rains, it doesn't dry for a day. So people who like cars and driving, you can kind of explore the limits of grip. I shouldn't say that on YouTube, but you can have a bit of fun in your car and enjoy the country roads and the undulations and bounce around like a clown. If you're quite tall like me, I tend to look a bit clownish on everything I'm ever on or in. That's cool. You're gonna have an Insta in Ireland. That's mad. One of the coolest countries in the world. A really cool car like that. Kind of jealous. Damn it. Ireland's nice. Yeah, it's nice. Let me know how it goes. Send me an email. It's I have an email address somewhere in the thing. Sensei Sifu, hello. Excellent show. Can you give a blue wrench to? What's a blue wrench? I'm not that modern, really. I'm really not. I'm an old man in a middle-aged young man's body. So can I give a blue wrench to Murray S. and Melinda Bates and Darren Murphy? I don't know. Can I? What is it? And yeah, thank you for emailing me the other day. Mod. Again, I don't know what that is. A mod equals blue. I'm sorry. I'm really sorry. I look so old. Why? I can't help it. It's the world moving on without me. Crikey. You remember the super chats? Remember that super chat thing? Apparently, somewhere in here, you can click and give me a super chat. A weird name, but people in the comments, I think you can super chat and then you kind of give me a bit of money. You can do that, but why is it called a super chat? And what is it you're getting? I think it pushes you up the comments and then maybe people see your comments first or something. But given that there's only 12 of us here, I think we'll be all right. You don't need to do that. I think it's all right. Anyway, yeah, can you explain what a mod is or a blue wrench? And yeah, that's fun. Anyway, so a few questions I've had. How old am I? I'm 35. Where am I from? I'm from the middle of England, in the actual middle of England, in the countryside. And then as a teenager, I went to Norway. I lived in Norway, and then I actually went to Australia, and then back to Europe. I just passionately, I think Europe is the coolest place on earth. It's just awesome. But the older I get, the more I like traveling, honestly. I like to look around different places, and yeah, the older I get, the more I appreciate Australia, because I thought it was a bit empty at first. There was not much to see, and on the day trips and stuff when I go around, I wasn't really into it. Too busy. And then actually there are some really cool things about Australia that I really like the food and the cafes and the views, and the roads are really nice, really nice. I mean, really smooth and really nice. And there are some really nice. There's a road. I tell you where there's a really nice road. Whoever's watching this, if you're in Australia, you want to have one of the best driving experiences potentially of your life. Bear in mind, I haven't been further west than Melbourne, so I don't know about Adelaide or Perth and stuff. But if you go to Warwick in Queensland and then you choose to go south and you go toward a village called Tenterfield, or a town apparently, you can go the eastern route. I think it's via Boonoo. That road is awesome. Well, I think it's actually my favorite road in the whole country of Australia, and I mean, it's a big bold statement, isn't it? Because it's big, and the East Coast is massive. But anyway, it is, and it is worth actually going to, just because I said that simple little comment on YouTube. It's a mad road, beautiful. It's like heaven on earth, really pretty. And I've done it loads of times. Never seen a police car, never seen hardly any car. It's almost always empty, completely dead. Just one car every 10 minutes or something. And yeah, really, really nice. I've got loads of those sort of. Let's see what else we got. Any comments? Please put any comments in the thing there. New England Highway. New England, I know. You're not the first person to say that, you know. Those who admin your chat during a live chat are usually called mods or moderators, and I'm nearly 20 years your senior. Well, at least you know more about cars than I do. Stop it. Maybe I do, but yeah, that's nice. That's some nice comments. It's really nice. I really like the, on YouTube, obviously, when people write stuff in the comments, it does, I think it helps the algorithm, and then it chucks the video to more people because there's more engagement. And but generally, one of the coolest things about YouTube for me is all the comments. It's genuine, but I also know that when people do comment, it helps the video. But I just don't care about it at all. I don't care at all about that. It's actually all to do with, it's just fantastic. It's fun. There are some absolute morons in the comments. It's laughable, and I often see comments that are written, and they're mostly all positive and nice. You know, it's your place. You can say what you want. I have people think I'm an idiot, and they say stupid stuff, and then they whatever. It's fine. But when there's a silly comment written by someone and they're saying a really thick, like a real, like an overtly thick comment, it's laughable. I think it's hilarious. I choose not to reply to those because I know for a fact someone else is gonna, tear a strip off them. It's hilarious. I love watching those things happen on the comments, and there's loads of nice people in the comments. It's really nice. So I just think the comments are great. Honestly, I'm a big fan. I'm probably one of the only YouTubers that genuinely says that because of the actual value of the comments, rather than because it helps the content be spread to other people, other videos, people, whatever. Agreed on the road in Queensland. The Great Ocean Road in Victoria is worth it. Yeah, usually busy. I know, I've been on that one, I know, and I've heard that said a lot. So have you been on that road that I'm talking about, James? That, because I don't know if it's got a name that people would recognise, but I just know it as that nice road from Warwick. It's really nice, and everyone speeds down. I shouldn't say that on YouTube, should I? No, nobody speeds, and it's really nice. It's very nice. Although I must say there are actually like 2 places where where someone's hit a tree, and then there are flowers. So yeah. Not a good thing, really. But beautiful roads. Anyway, I'll stop talking about it. Having mods, Blue Spanner helps. Okay. The algorithm too, as it sees you have interactions with the audience. I do have interactions with the audience. I do. Are you related to Harry Jaggard, the UK travel vlogger? Maybe, but neither of us know about it. But we might be, technically. We might. You never know. I don't know. Ask me mum. I wonder if my mum's still watching. I know it's the most ridiculous thing. I wasn't planning on mentioning it, but I thought it was hilarious. I was talking to Mum before this, and I said, I'll send you the link to the chat. I'm going to do my first live video. And so we can all say hello to Mum, Denise, who's sat watching. And she's in the middle of England watching. Hello, Denise. Yeah. Yeah, New England Highway, as mentioned by someone else. Yeah, it's pretty cool. No, I actually have got no idea who Harry Jaggard is, but I will endeavour to Google him. And, or I shouldn't say he, because they didn't tell me, did they? No, I'm just kidding. Darren Murphy. Hello, Denise. Are you flirting with my mother, Darren? Stop it. Yeah. And anyway, what else have I got? So there's a few things I want to mention, and I've completely neglected my notes here. So, yeah. Elon, do you remember? This is I did mention this in the next video, which I'm halfway through editing, but there was a comment 13 years ago, and Elon Musk was being interviewed by a lady, I don't know her name, and he just burst out laughing and with a massive grin on his face, and he was mocking BYD, saying, have you seen their cars? I think they should, make their cars look better, and I think they should focus on selling people in China in their own market, their cars first, before you start asking me, the owner of Tesla, about whether they're competition yet. But it's kind of funny how now they sell more electric cars than Tesla, and I bet he's not laughing now. I really bet he's not laughing. And back in the day, there are a few things with BYD where BYD clearly copied cars. I think one of them was was it the Peugeot? Someone help. I can't remember the cars now. Apparently Sensei, you said I know. Was it Sensei? They copied a few cars. They overtly copied a few cars, but then stuck their own badge on it. But the design, they've done that. This is a thing that gets mentioned. But they don't do that anymore. They hired the guy from, I think was he Austrian? The European guy who worked with Audi and Lamborghini and Alfa Romeo to design some really nice, famous cars. And now their cars are good looking. And I think that's a big part of why people want to buy a car, because they're good looking. Probably like an Alfa. I owned an Alfa once, actually. And wasn't that great, honestly. I had the worst luck with it. And I think I was driving down the motorway. I had it for like 2 months, by the way. It's a funny story. I may as well tell it because it is actually kind of funny. It was kind of a fate thing. I'd watched Top Gear, obviously, and I'd watched a bit of Top Gear. Not that I'm the biggest fan of Top Gear, especially these days. Well, not that it's on the telly. But I watched... I kind of was a bit inspired. I thought, all my cars, like, I've had a Prius and I've had all these other cars. And I thought, I'll get a more sporty looking car. And this was like 10 years ago. And I thought, I'm going to get an Alfa because they're really good looking and they've got beautiful seats and stuff. And I drove down the motorway and then I heard a big thump, massive. The only time in my life this has happened, a massive bang. And I pulled over, middle of a dark, busy motorway. And the wheel is like this, obviously. You know how a wheel works. It's like that. But then there was a part where it just went in like this, as if I'd hit a brick or I'd hit a piece of metal or something. And so that was a thing. And the tire didn't deflate. Somehow it still worked. So that was good. And then I carried on going. 10 minutes later, a thing happened in the engine, and the pipe, intercooler pipe, popped off. And so I had to limp to a service station, and an AA man, or RAC, he put a clamp on the pipe, and then that worked. And then I drove to, where did I go to? And then I went to France. I was in a place called Arras. And then a Frenchman, I looked behind me in the mirror. There was a Frenchman. Let's call him Pierre. And I could see him smoking, looking like a clown. Little car, big man, kind of like me, but I don't smoke. But he was smoking, and then I saw him looking down at his phone, and I thought, that's not good. But it was fine. I assumed we would probably not crash because you never really do have these issues in life. And then he just smashed into the back of me. And then, the car was bad, and the boot wouldn't shut, and it was wrinkled on the sides at the back. And I had to sort of bang it really hard and faff around. It was all buggered, really. And anyway, I called the insurance up, and they said, it will take maybe 6 months or more to get this sorted with this French company. And so literally what I did is I sold the car for half the value of the car, and I got rid of it. I'll never have an Alfa again. Terrible. And also they don't make electric cars, really. So, and I don't want a petrol or a diesel. So that was a funny story, Let's see the comments. Yeah, so also the armrest, something that bugs me, like the armrest. It was too low in the Alfa. Other than that, it was pretty cool, really. It was very cheap to run, but whatever. Hello, Denise. Harry Jaggard looks like you. Harry Jaggard, will these live streams be regular, weekly, at the same time, same day? They will be, I believe, at the same time, yes. And what I said was, I think this might be all right, on the 1st of every month. Whatever that month is, it's irrelevant because every month has the first of it. So I'll do that. And I thought that'd be quite fun. I could have done every week or two, but I think every month might be all right. And then if they go well or something, but I like the idea of just sitting on here and chatting to people, because there's loads of people such as Darren Murphy and Gil or Stefan and Sensei, and there's loads of people that I know that just watch all the time, and it's kind of fun to have a chat. I really like that. So let me just read through the comment. Harry Jaggard looks like me. That's unfortunate. Jesus. Will these lives? Yes. So 1st of every month. First they ignore you. Quote. First they ignore you, then they laugh at you, then they fight you, then you win. Someone should send that to Elon. BYD will soon win outside the USA at least. Yeah, outside the USA. Yeah, touchy subject. Yeah. Also, the 15th would be better. Only one a month is a long wait for us. Yeah, maybe I'll do the 15th. I'll have a think about it and I'll put it in the comments in the community section. I like doing the posts in the community section. Yeah, I could probably do 2 a month, honestly. But I just like the simplicity of it. Like either every Monday or the first of every month, or like super, super simple, so then people remember it. And then, but I think some YouTubers do it at random times all the time. It's not ideal, but yeah. So I'll have a think about that. Have the Chinese EV makers got too much of a lead on Western automakers? What do Western automakers need to do to catch up to compete? Tricky. They're clearly, if you would, I think about this. It's an odd one, anyway. But I often have these thoughts, and I'm always in my own thoughts. And usually when I'm on the toilet, I have my best thoughts on the toilet. And yeah, if you consider, if you're of the belief that electric and having 4G or 5G and Wi-Fi and data and screens, if you're of the belief that that is ahead, oh, for sure, China are way ahead. They're way ahead. And then the more, as in Europe or other places where, like if you go to say Russia and you have a car that you have to put a physical key in and go, and it vibrates and smells. It's starting to look as though the more futuristic cars get in China, the more it looks as though it equals our those cars that we drive that they drive in Russia, for example, larders and things like that. They're not very good. It makes us look way behind. And actually, a lot of people are probably not so fussed. I know in Australia, and if you go out bush, for example, loads of people, or even in cities, there's people with like a big diesel ute or a pickup truck, and they're not bothered about electric cars. They don't think that's better or progress or anything like that. But yeah, I can see what's going on, So I think, yeah, they've got too much of a lead. It is an actual handicap for us, I think, if you consider Leap Motors or other big companies, they were really focusing on this. It was like a collaborative effort within the bureaucratic system in China. And I forgot the names now. I do often write about this stuff and I write it down and make notes and stuff. But yeah, in 2004 and 5, they put it on like national targets to make sure that they can sort of have they will be world leaders in the green transition, for example. And so therefore things that they do henceforth are with that goal in mind. It's very where one country, we have one mission, one goal. They've got a few goals, obviously, and they all work together to make that one goal happen quicker. And that's what they've kind of done. Obviously, it looks from the outside as though they're doing quite good at that. Whereas in Europe, for example, for all its many other faults, they're not really doing the same thing. It's all a bit clownish at times, in the European Union. And Murray S, what did you delete? I saw that you retracted something. What did he say, people? Let's figure it out. And no, it looked maybe like a spelling mistake. Anyway, yeah, I don't know. So I think honestly, I don't know where this is going, but I feel as though it does definitely make European companies or certain other countries with their manufacturers, like Toyota and stuff, makes them look a bit more primitive, a bit outdated, a bit rubbish, honestly. So yeah, that's rough. That's a thing. I think about that sometimes, but I don't know. It's a tricky one. Has anybody else got any thoughts on that? Because that is an interesting one. What was the second part of the question? What do Western automakers need to do to catch up and compete? I don't know. I think about that at times, not just because you've asked that, but I actually do think that, and I actually don't know. It looks as though it's almost not really that possible to really catch up. But they can attempt to save it. They can do the protectionist thing, fend it off, thwart their success, and then build up. Like allow, say, Volkswagen to start doing better with their EVs, and Leap Motors. They can do better. They can allow things to just move around. That seems very much I don't know, almost a bit British, but it's almost like a European thing as well. That there's not really much of a collaborative joint effort for everyone to work together toward a common goal. Generally speaking, and there's some people here older than me. Let me know if you think this is wrong, but I feel as though that's a European thing. We're not very good at that. And even though I think Europe is awesome, I actually love Europe passionately. I think it's the coolest place on earth, but it has issues. Maybe the European Union is one of those issues. They're not really helping people and offering clarity, and people are not working together because it's really hard to work together, especially when it's such a fragmented society in Europe. 700 odd million people in 27 or 28 or whatever countries it is, and it's a bit tricky. So yeah, it's 11:52 a.m. there. Oh, it's definitely not. It's definitely not. My flight is on the 24th. And I go back to Europe, and I'm currently in Australia, in New South Wales currently. And so it's not 11:52 a.m., it's 9:53 p.m. currently. 8:52 p.m. in Brisbane. Yeah, 8:52. No, it was 8:52, it's now 8:53, Sensei. Are you in Brisbane? I never asked you. You emailed me, right? But I didn't. Are you in Brisbane, or where are you? There's, BYD Shark sales will impact legacy auto sales in the utility market. Probably, yeah, I think so. The only issue is not everybody wants a massive bloody ute, and not everyone wants a massive Chinese ute, and not everyone wants a Chinese hybrid ute. So that's the thing, I think it's pretty cool, but I'm obviously not a ute person or a pickup truck person, but for what it is, it's pretty cool. Like the F-150, I may have said this in the past. It sometimes looks like I'm slating it. The F-150 is really nice. It's really fancy, really nice. But I would never buy one. But it's really cool. And the front, when you lift the front up and the whole thing comes up and you've got this massive space, it's pretty cool. Like if you get off when you look at a pickup truck, it's pretty cool. But I would never have one, even though I think, was it 2023 or 2024, they sold 17% of their target or something. Pitiful, terrible. Nobody's buying them, they're expensive. And so that's not good. Yeah, anyway, feel free to put things in the comments, anyone. I've been on here in a while, haven't I? Sorry about that. Ruining your day, ranting. What have we got? I've got some notes. I'll have a look at my notes. So, 72% of you wanted a long-form documentary. I did a poll. I like me polls, you may have noticed. Can you suggest any topics for this? Because I hadn't really thought about it much. I just really like the idea of doing a monthly long-form, 40-minute, 30-minute, 60-minute video, and I do something a bit more fun. Like the reason I started the channel originally was I didn't know. I knew I liked electric transport. And I love cars. I love electric transport of all sorts, really. And I just love cameras. I used to be a wedding photographer. I'd have been, by the way. And so I just wanted to do some stuff with cars. So I actually just started reviewing some cars. I went down and reviewed. I did loads of reviews, honestly, loads of different cars. I reviewed and filmed with them for a few hours and for the day. And that's how the channel started. And then I just started talking about the latest things that are going on in the EV world. It's pretty nice. I like doing that. And so the long form thing, I think it would be really fun to have a video, a topic, and explore it like a very poignant, interesting thing that we can all enjoy. I can enjoy doing it, but also enjoy the process of making the video, But that'd be really fun. So feel free to suggest some things, or at a later time, if you want to comment or send me an email or something, just let me know some things, because I'm sure there are some interesting things out there to make a video about. But getting some microphone interference. I hope not. That shouldn't happen. I've got a Rode Pro mic connected there. Maybe it's me shaking the desk. I don't know. Let me know if it keeps on going or not. I don't know. But that's the point. If I'm going to make these videos, it's a big investment of time. It'll probably take me, a day or two, and so it should be something that we all enjoy and get something out of. anything at all. It doesn't matter what it is. There's just so much that I could do. Let me know if you've got any ideas or recommendations. But I like to do these polls. 72% of you said you would just like a long form video every now and then. There's just not enough of it, really. It's either from and I don't know if you noticed, you probably noticed, right? There's this whole spectrum of YouTubers and what they're doing. If it's from like the news, a mainstream news outlet, they're basically reporting on how electric cars are always on fire and it's horrendous and they're terrible, or China, something to do with China or Trump or Musk. So that's quite boring, and so that discredits them as a whole. And then you've got YouTubers that are either rage baity or content farmy. You've got those ones, and so I like to think of myself as an independent, that I do this stuff completely on my own with no agenda other than to just make interesting stuff and try. If something's crap, I'll just say it's crap. Or if something is really good, but there's something crap about it, then if I know it, then I would like to think that you'd know it too, because I'll let you know. I don't really like to do, which in fairness doesn't necessarily make it, it's not preferable for YouTube. YouTube generally can be a bit shallow, so therefore you can do things that YouTube doesn't care what I say or how I say it. It just cares about interaction with the audience and algorithms and all that sort of stuff. It doesn't care at all about anything about what I say or if I'm saying something good or about whatever. So that's an interesting thing. That's kind of a scary thing, isn't it? So I think it's very good advice, I think, for a YouTuber to just make authentic content. Whatever it is, show something. Like those YouTubers that talk about BYD, you do think they might be paid, but I don't think they are paid for sure, because I've never had any conversations with BYD, but people still think I'm paid because I say a positive thing. But that just because I say a positive thing doesn't mean I'm paid. They're all right. I genuinely don't think they go out and influence or pay people for sure. I don't think they do. But anyway, yeah. I like doing these polls. I actually had a look through all of my polls. They're really fascinating. So yeah, so that's how I started anyway, the channel. That's how I started doing it, just playing around with cameras and reviewing electric cars. Interestingly, I don't know, I actually have no idea if people do this. Maybe they do, but I go back to the polls and I check them a few times over the course of the weeks as they go by. And it was almost 50-50 with the people that voted for having or not having electric folding mirrors. I actually think they're a bit of a gimmick, and it's not important to me at all. The negatives outweigh the pros for me with regards to having electric mirrors. I really like the BYD, skimmed all the gimmicky stuff or maybe the unnecessary stuff, such as electric mirrors with the key things, and they just stripped that off to make it simple. Actually, 50% of people said, no, we like that. So I thought that was interesting. I really did. And not everyone agrees with me, that's for sure, which is okay. It's much more interesting when people don't agree with me. There are definitely some YouTubers, though, that know the more people you can get to disagree, the more money is in it for them. Obviously, I'm not one of those people, but it is interesting. So yeah. I'm pretty keen to see this small end of the market develop and get come to. I've been waiting for years for this, because we had the Nissan Leaf, modest, not overly expensive. I mean, it was a bit pricey, wasn't it? But it wasn't too bad. And then we've had not that much really, and it's kind of guttering. And now we know. I can see that people that watch my videos mostly stuff about battery technology and the importance of temperatures and stuff like that. But I don't think people knew that 10 years ago. I just don't. And now we do. And we've not really had any options. Not enough small, cheap options. And I can see, about a year ago, I realized 2025, 2026 are going to be really big years for small cars. And the more time goes on, the more that looks true, Like the BYD Seagull, that BYD genuinely did purchase that plant, and also some land in Germany too. And they're building a big factory that will be finished this year. They'll be making the BYD Seagull, that's also confirmed there, and the Dolphin, and then they're going to sell that. So then you can hopefully we can buy a Seagull by the end of the year for really cheap, which would be the goal. And if they sell me a black one, I will bloody buy one, because that's pretty cool. And I don't need anything more than that. Some comments. What have we got? How's the microphone interference? Is it still there? And what did it sound like? Because I hate to be that sort of person that's, having crappy audio. Anyway, don't know about that, Darren. My Insta cost €23,000 here in Ireland. It's over £25,000 in the UK. Maybe a difference from, that's a big difference, isn't it? And the Insta is well priced, honestly, like €23,000. I mean, I was talking the other day about the other car in Norway being the Dongfeng Nami box. That was like €18,000 or something. And was it €18,000? Yeah, I think it was. And that's very cheap. When the cars get to that price, it's hard to see how they can really make them cheaper. It really is, and still stay afloat and make a living or pay bills or whatever. But yeah, that's pretty cool. Still crackling something. Oh, really? That's a pain. Maybe I'll Google it. I'll try and figure that out. Sorry. Yeah, so that's mad. I think that's going to be a very good spend of $23,000. Yeah, I think you're going to have a great time. Yeah, when do you get it? When is it going to get delivered? Because I want to know. And look, don't feel free to invite me over. I'll come over to Ireland. I'll bring you a bag of potatoes as a gift, and we can go for a drive. Because I'm still yet to drive an Insta. I've never driven one. And I've been very busy though, because I came back here in August, and then I think it's been 5 months and 5 months and a few days only. Literally just been renovating a house. It's been rough. I mean, dog rough. Digging holes and renting a big post hole machine to dig holes so there's like on one side of the house there's 50 meters and then there's 20 meters on the front. The other two sides have a fence, right? So there's 50 meters, 20 meters, and I had to hire a post hole digger. I saw it parked up in a thing, rented it, got it home, drilled the holes, and then realized that instead of 150 mil holes, there were actually 300 mil holes. So that was a big issue, because you've got 300 mil holes and you've got one every 2 meters, 30 odd holes or whatever, 37 holes or something in here, whatever it was. And I had to fill them with concrete and all sorts of stuff. Bit rough, really rough. So that's the thing, building a fence and then painting it. And then some of them bowed and just doing house stuff, really, cleaning up and just trying to renovate the house. And so then I'm, going back to Europe, because I consider Europe home, obviously. And I'm European, and but yeah, Australia's pretty cool though, definitely pretty cool. Although I don't like the heat, so this is, that's a thing. Yeah, I'm definitely not a big fan of the heat anyway. So let's see what else people are saying. Sorry, some bronchitis, you see. Not very well. Insta has the folding mirror. I know, Insta has the folding mirrors. It's nice to have, but not required, I agree. Yeah, it doesn't bother me at all. It's Korean, so your point may be valid for the China. Yeah, there's interesting stuff. Yeah, I wonder why it's so expensive in the UK. 25 grand for the Insta. I don't know. I don't know about Ireland, but I know the UK, in England, I should say in England, you people in the UK get touchy about this, but in England, people, they like small cars. Typically, they're cheaper to insure, but people kind of just like small cars in England. But then also, a lot of the roads we drive are like 2,000 years old, right? So I think when I used to go to school as a kid, it would be the A635 to Doncaster or something, and it would be like a rural school in the middle of that was 2,000 years old, that road. Anyway, so Leaf was a good start. It is looking old now. It is looking old. It is. It really is. Especially when you have to stop every 50 miles to charge it. CHAdeMO, obsolete as well. Yeah, that's a thing. I've been told a couple of times in emails by some companies, do I want an adapter to give away? And if anyone's got a Leaf and you want one, just let me know, email me, and then the next time I get one, I can say yes, and I'll send you a free one of those adapters. Because I do believe they're at a point now where they actually work. And yeah, they're pretty cool cars though. Was due to arrive in this country this week from Korea. So it was due to arrive in the country early. May take a week till dealer gets it. Bloody hell, wow. Yeah. As a YouTuber, I get this a lot. when someone in the comments says, "Oh, I'm in like Malaysia or whatever, and I've got a BYD Seagull," someone actually sent me some pictures, a video, and an email saying, "I'm welcome to come to Dubai, and I can drive around in the BYD Seagull." Oh, it's tempting. It's tempting. I mean, I don't like hot weather, but I think it's very tempting, and I get a bit of envy, you know, when people have got pretty cool cars in real cool places, and I think, oh, I'd love to be doing that, and because I'm pretty gutted. I've been really hectic the last few months, and then as it's gotten hotter, I really like winter. I mean, I passionately love winter, and getting up in the morning and getting the car warmed up and stuff. And it's now like January 21st, and my flight is on the 24th, which means I kind of missed half the winter. But I want to, you know, get back and then drive around and get to Scandinavia and, you know, go play on a frozen lake or something, because it's really beautiful. So I'm really keen to do that. Catherine Grimes. Hello, Catherine. I think you're in the UK, aren't you? I remember in a comment you said, I'll be with you soon. I'll be in the UK soon. Just 3 days. I'm so excited. I mean, you'll never know how excited I am to get out of the heat and to go home, because 5 months of doing the house up and then 5 weeks of bronchitis. I'm over it. I want to go sit on a bench and contemplate and have a coffee. What I want to do. According to Hyundai website, Insta costs 23.5. Yeah, 23.5. I wish I'd have charged like a couple of grand less, you know. Midlands in the UK. That's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. Yeah. Why? Well, I'll be around the middle of England soon, actually, in a few days. I think I fly to Manchester on the 24th. Are you having a meetup in London? I have no idea. I have never done that. The thing is, I would probably consider doing a meetup, but I don't want to. I don't want only me to be there, Darren. So that's the thing, you know. I don't want to rock up, but I would. I'd definitely love to go to Europe to do that, because I like visiting Europe. London, sorry, it's pretty cool. And also, I was sent. I get sent a lot of things, right? So I get, yeah, you're lolling, but it wouldn't be funny for me, would it? I get sent some things sometimes to review and to look at, and I don't tell you about them because a lot of them I don't like very much. This is another thing I sometimes think about, but as a YouTuber, if I say something's good, people think I'm bought by the company or something like that, and I really hate that. I do, but I tell you for free a couple of things. I haven't done videos on them, but there are a couple of companies that I know that make really cool things. Or I've been sent a selection of power stations, you know, like by BYD and All Powers and things like that. A selection of them, half a dozen. Jackery, for example. The only one I would recommend is the All Powers. I've tried like 3 different ones from All Powers. Awesome things. They're really, really good. I'm not even going to put like an affiliate link if you just want to go buy one. That's my recommendation. I've been sent a selection of them, and you know, they're really nice. Even though they send them and I can have them and they give them to me. Yeah, I'm not going to try and just say that they're good to an audience of people to try and get you to give me some commission. I don't do that. That's not my cup of tea. But All Powers, really good. I've got a couple here. I use them all the time. I've got a couple in Europe too, and they never fail. And I'm always doing like crazy stuff. And I'm just in literally one of the little things I'm doing in life. Nobody knows this. Just a little thought I have. I'm trying to abuse them to break them. And so far, I've had the All Powers ones like a year. And they're just still going, and they've got LFP chemistry and stuff like that, and they're pretty good specs, and they look nice. So, yeah, that's one. And e-bikes. I've been sent a couple of e-bikes by companies. They just say, "Can I send you an e-bike?" And if I like them, I'll tell you. They're all okay. Well, BYU, they sell some nice ones, and Engway. They're pretty nice. The Engway T14 is my go-to bike of choice. I love it. I think it's the coolest thing on earth. And so I often ride that. But then I've got my private little bike that I ride, that I built here in Australia, which I think I'm going to have to rehome because nobody's wanted to have it. Anyway, so maybe I will have a meetup in London. I don't know. But I will at some point, for sure. At some point. I don't know when, though. But yeah, we've got 2 specs here in here. 19,000 euro for the what's this for again? Bear with me. I'm reading the comments. You've been all saying stuff. Depends if you live near the inner city. Folding mirrors are handy. They are indeed, Darren. You're right. But if you don't live in a city, it's pointless. I usually live in rural areas, so I don't see the value. But I get it. I can see though, for sure. I've lived in Brisbane, and I've just loads of cars on the road, all smashed into on the side. It's kind of funny at times because I'm not paying for it. Let me see. Darren Murphy, where are you? Are you in London, Darren? I noticed you said dollars, and that's wrong. Yeah, so what have we got? We have two specs here in Europe, in euros. 19,000 euro, 40 to go to 49, 20,000, and 1,000 for the dealer fees. 49 kilo heat pump, heated seats and steering wheel, movable seats. Yeah, that's pretty good, isn't it? That's good value. I mean, even okay. So you got 50 kilowatt hour for 22. Oh, that's pretty good. It is good, isn't it? That's pretty good. So what? So add 1,000. So what's the net price you pay in Ireland? So if you got the big one, 20,000. What is it that leaves your bank at the end once you bought the 50 kilowatt hour on the 49? What is it that you pay at the end there? Yeah. So what else we got? I'm sorry. I'm not well. Not well. Sucks. But I think it's almost over though. I'll not be ill for long. It's definitely getting better. So I'm pretty keen to see what Trump does, honestly. Although I'm a modern person in a way, and I've got anxiety about clicking on anything on YouTube. The moment you click on anything with Trump on it, that's it for a month. You get it spat at you for a month by an algorithm. Does my head in. Can't stand it. Yeah, London's pretty cool. I'm just thinking it would be good to do a meetup in London, wouldn't it? But I know there's a few people that watch in London. But it would also be really fun to just go and visit London again. I like going to London. Any excuse, I'm always popping to London for stuff. It's quite fun. And especially with the bikes, the little e-bikes, because they're really cool. That's awesome. But without the e-bikes, I don't know. I feel like it's a lot less fun in London for me. But yeah. But what car do you drive, Darren? Sorry. Yeah, the US government should not be subsidizing $80,000 EVs. No, you're right. I remember a few years ago talking about this. I think it was like maybe one of my first videos, and I remember thinking, if you drive an electric moped, right on, I'm with you. That's cool. Right, I'll be there in a week. That's cool. That's the dream. I've rented electric mopeds when I go to cities like Amsterdam. You can rent Felix ones, or you can rent, there's another one. I've got the apps on my phone, and at Paris, and you can ride around. My God, it's rough in Paris riding around on an e-bike, on a moped, especially when you turn onto the motorway for an hour. I did that. Terrifying. I felt literally like a human, like a Dumb and Dumber riding on a 45 kilometers an hour flat out on a French motorway just next to Paris, thinking I've mucked up. It was a funny story there. But yeah, they're really cool. If I was in London, I'd be renting it. I'd just drive a moped, honestly, because that's really cool. But yeah, what was I saying? Yeah, one of the first videos I did, I remember talking about that. They've got these incentives basically for people with quite expensive cars that either have the cash or the means to get credit on a car that's 70, 80, 90,000 pounds, and the government are giving them some money. It just seems a bit off. You try saying that to the general public who don't have that sort of money, and it's a hard one to to say without being hated, because sometimes electric cars, obviously, and I think this is going to change this year. Electric cars often get talked about in a way where it's a status thing. If you say you've got an electric car, people are a bit like, "Oh, hello, you've done well. You've got an electric car. That must be like 70 grand." But I don't. After this year, maybe even 2024. These are the years of change. It's when that changes, and it will start to be that. Because people don't say, "Oh, I've got a petrol car." You don't think, "Oh, that's fancy." But in the UK, yeah, Insta is 23.5, Insta 26,745, and the Insta Really? It goes up to 28? Wow, I didn't know that. £28,745 for the Insta. That's quite a bit of money. What incentives do they give you in the UK now? What are they? I'm supposed to know this, but I can't help it. The wheels are too big. I can't know it all, honestly. But yeah, that's pretty cool. Anyway, there's some pretty cool mopeds, and it is definitely worth it. In August, was it July or August this year? I actually did go visit some friends in Amsterdam, and I had the app, and my plan was to drive to the outside of Amsterdam was it Haarlem, and on their street, or one of their little streets local to their house, you can get on a Felix branded scooter, I think it was, and then you could rent it for the day for not much money. It's like €30 or something. It's not expensive, and you can drive around Amsterdam on it. I'm sure it was there. And then when I went there and I went to sleep, and the next day I woke up and I got my phone out and I looked, and they'd red zoned Amsterdam, and they'd said that the rules had changed and that you couldn't rent a scooter. And I was a bit bummed, honestly. I was a bit annoyed about that. So the next time I will do that again when I travel, because it's awesome going to a city and renting a moped. Really cool. Although doing it in Paris is ballsy. That is brave, really brave. But yeah, taking my little bikes. I've got a couple of them. I've got a DYU A5 that I'll keep. That's really nice. And Engway T14. They're really, really cool, both in their own sort of ways. And I'm not going to give you an affiliate link, but they're just really cool. They're very cool. But I'm 6'2", and I can ride them comfortably. But I'm aware that I look an idiot. That's for sure. But they work. I mean, what more do you want? They've got wheels and brakes, and they go for 30 kilometers, so that's all right. More if it's flat. Anyway, for reference, in Ireland you get €3,000, not dollars yet. Trump hasn't decided to buy Ireland like he has Greenland or whatever. Incentives are $3,000. Yeah, that's pretty good. No incentives at all for private buyers, but employees can get tax incentives to their company. Yeah, like there's big incentives in Australia, for example, in like novated leases and things like that. That's pretty good. Yeah. What car do you drive, Catherine? What car do you drive? That's pretty cool. That's Midlands. I think it's great being in the middle of England or the UK. So many places to drive. It's underrated. I just hope people are not, I hope people are finding the time to go for drives these days. I think these days people seem like they're working really hard to survive and own a house and stuff. I really do hope. I always have this thought that I hope people are enjoying the National Trust. If you look at the National Trust and the story of Beatrix Potter and the National Trust starting it and having all these properties, to just simply have them so that we can go drive, it's mad. It's like the coolest thing on earth. And we've got some of the most beautiful roads in the UK. And, I just really like the idea that people are driving around, enjoying the National Trust and driving around the country roads and stuff. It's very nice. So, but if you're in the middle of the country, you've literally got the whole thing to drive around, It's pretty nice. But, yeah, what else have we got? What can I talk about? I've got a list of things to talk about, but I don't want to jump around too much and start talking about Indonesia or something for no reason at all. But yeah. Yeah, one thing I'm aware of, people talk about moving the emissions, from when they talk the haters, and the people that hate electric cars, they talk about electric cars and they talk about how you're just moving the emissions away from us and you're just moving to a factory somewhere. Even in that, if that's the worst you got, that's not so bad. It means at least we're not breathing it in. So this house I'm in now is on a corner block. So every time a diesel truck goes by, you get a second or two, and then there's that wave, that rooster tail with. There we go. Anyway, yeah. So anyway, I won't show you that. Yeah, you get the smell of diesel just waft, and you smell it, and then after, and because I've got sensitive lungs at the minute, bronchitis, and it's all still sore, I'm sure of it. I can feel it. I get all coffee, and this has sort of been a thing, you know, like the Cancer Council. I think I always say this, I probably chirp on about it too much, but the Cancer Council say that it's the second most cancer-causing thing, diesel particulates, in Australia after the sun. It's pretty serious, you know, like if you go to a car wheel and you stroke the black brake dust, that gives you an idea of how fine some of the soot can be. The particulates is pretty crap. So I don't know. I don't really. What do you think, Darren, about the ULEZ stuff? Right. So you're a bloke you drive an electric moped. You live in London. Do you agree with the ULEZ stuff and the people cutting the cameras down? Because I don't know. I like the idea that in a city they would say that you've got to have a cleaner, more efficient thing, because it's not cool to have big diesels everywhere. But definitely can't condone them cutting cameras down. Although I have my own thoughts on that. But yeah, it's interesting because people don't like it. You know, like too many cameras everywhere. And as I've left, because I've left, I don't formally live in England or anything. I just go to England a lot because England's nice. Like England's nice. It's all over the internet on YouTube because there's some algorithm stuff going on about broken Britain, and every country there's something talking about every country being broken and stuff. But like the UK is nice. It's got some really cool places to go to if you're there for a couple of weeks and stuff. But what was I saying? I don't know. Anyway, yeah, it's very nice. Yeah, I've noticed over the years when I go back, or I go to like Scandinavia, or I go to like Australia, and I come back to England, there are more and more cameras creeping in, and I don't really like the idea of having too many cameras and too much of that observation stuff. That does bother me, but I'm not overly fussed really, because I don't drive like an idiot. I don't drive too quick or anything like that. I just drive around. I just like to have the freedom to drive around. And you know, there are a lot of cameras, but I don't know. Maybe are there too many cameras in Australia and England? I don't know. But yeah, what do you think, Darren, about diesels? You know, these cutting down cameras, don't understand ULEZ. Then they are being manipulated by shock jocks. Yeah, there's cutting down. Don't understand. Yeah, it's interesting. There's a whole. I've Googled this and I've tried to do research on it, and then I spend 3 hours making notes on it and writing about it so that I can better understand it. Because I write a lot, even if I don't need to talk about something, I just write it because then I remember it. And the ULEZ thing's fascinating. There is the whole topic of the diesel scandal over the last 20 years as well in England, how everyone was told to buy diesel because they're cheap in like 2005 or 8. And then they said, no, don't go buy diesels. And then the whole ULEZ thing is sort of, you know, there's a whole thing. You know, YouTube is an interesting place. It's fascinating. People, I think genuinely people think they understand the world through the lens of YouTube, which is thick. Thick. Because then you're basically interpreting the world via an algorithm, and I think that's the worst thing you could possibly do. And yeah, that's not very good. Yeah. Gil, hello, Gil. I was hoping you'd pop in. So you're in South Australia, right? So that's very good of you. Is it 10:25 down there still, Gil? Yeah. So yeah, Gil, what do you think of plug-in hybrid electric vehicles as compared to the full EV? BYD Shark is only 57k in Australia, and are supposed to do 100 kilometers just on electricity. I know they are the worst. They are the worst RE fires. Yeah. Well, you're informed, are you? Crikey. It's fascinating. Even worse than ICE vehicles. Yeah, it's true. You look at the data positively. ICE vehicle, I can't remember the numbers on the top of my head, but I do remember doing a lot of research on this. A lot of research, and for sure, hybrids are the ones that are involved in the most vehicle fires. They just are. That's what the data shows. Plug-in hybrid. I've always maintained that plug-in hybrid electric vehicles are they're like a doorway into that world, and that someone probably would get an electric car after one, and so therefore it's a step in the right direction, and that's okay with me. I think it's emerging technology, and so I'm fine with it. I don't slate people for buying them. And if you live in a rural place, and I don't mean English rural, I mean if you live in America or Australia rural, where your local shop is 40 minutes, or even then I suppose you could argue that you should just get an electric car. But some people like to know they can do 600 or 800,000 kilometers in case of a family emergency. Some people, that because they're used to that. You've had decades. If you're older than me, you've had decades used to the fact that you could do that. So I'm not opposed to them, honestly. I prefer it though. If people just got an electric car, I think it's probably better for them as an individual and for everyone around. But that's all right. I think it's all right. I'm not sure where that leaves us in 20 years with the used car market and the petrol prices and stuff. I'm not sure where that leaves everyone, but I can see like the Shark, the BYD Shark. Loads of people like that car. Loads of people buying it in Australia because it's compelling. Also, utes are quite pricey. Like if you drive from Brisbane to Tenterfield and back in a diesel Isuzu, is it Isuzu D-Max ute? That's one tank of diesel gone. Quite expensive. I don't know, what's that, $150? $60, $170, whatever. Roughly, just for those of you like Darren, you're in England. So Australia, I'm not sure about diesel though, but petrol prices, roughly, I think it's like $1.50, $1.60 a litre. Here, $1.60. So that's about 80 pence. So because it's about double the number in Australia. So like $1 is 50 pence or 52 pence. So yeah, I think outside of Australia, it would be much more compelling to Europeans where you've got expensive petrol and it's like twice the price, 2.5 times, 2 times the price, like Norwegian prices where it's like 24 kroner. So it's like £2 a litre for petrol or diesel or whatever. Yeah, for those people, it's different. They would just be thinking, I want a ute. I've had a pickup ute. I'll get a hybrid. And I actually know someone who lives in Warwick in Queensland, and they've got a massive farm, and they're a doctor, and they've just bought a brand new plug-in hybrid electric Outlander Mitsubishi. And one of the things I was thinking was on the Outlander, for example, this is Queensland. I'm not in Queensland, but here it's Queensland and this is Australia. It's got to be able to cool the batteries down as it sits there while someone's at work, for example. And the plug-in hybrid electric, the PHEV Outlander does do that. So that's a really important one. But because it prevents them from setting on fire, for example. But also, one of the things that I was asked when he bought that car was, do I think that car would last 10 or 20 years with a battery? I think there's a chance. It's rated for, I think, 8 years, though, the battery. But if you leave it sat not at full charge or dead or anything like that, and you don't leave it in the sun all the time, and I think it has a chance of making 10 years, without having to replace the battery. Or if you do replace the battery, maybe don't replace the battery, but just repair it because, yeah, so let's see what we got. So what do I think of plug-in hydro? Yeah, Shark. I think the Shark is pretty compelling, right? 57 grand. That's pretty good, isn't it? I don't know if is that popular in England? I don't know if people in England or Europe would really know about the BYD Shark that much, but I know for sure in a ute-centric place like Australia, everybody knows what the Shark is. And in more ways than one. Crikey. Shark is different tech. The petrol ice just charge the battery. Yeah, that's true. It can't run the engine or drive trains. It's a suitable outback vehicle for where there exists no charging infrastructure. Yeah, that's good. That's true. In that way, it's compelling. I think they knew that when they were selling that in Australia, right? That you just have to chuck in some petrol. We have public chargers here at last. Only 2, but at least we have one within 100 kilometers now. Last year was Mount Gambier to fill up an EV. Well done. Congratulations. That's nice. I think you live in a rural place, right? So yeah, that's pretty cool. They have some chargers down there. They're getting more common. I don't know if I've got any data to hand actually about how many charging stations are going up in Australia. But I think if you look at the sales numbers for Australia and EVs, it is mad. It's crazy. It's going up really quick. So yeah, there has to be loads of charge points. If you go to say Tenterfield, for example, I think there's like 5 or 6 rapid chargers, Tesla chargers, and also a free one next to them in the Coles car park. And you can use them free. Nobody ever uses them whenever I've been to Tenterfield. They never use them, but they are there. Well catered for if anybody wants to go to Tenterfield, but nobody seems to go. But anyway, That's pretty cool. Yeah, the UK is pretty good. I'm still surprised of all the reliability issues that still goes on in Europe. This is not just the UK, but the whole Europe. There's a lot of issues with regards to reliability. I read a comment the other day. Someone told me that they went to a charger. They sent me a picture, actually. This is the first time in years of driving an EV, and they went to a charger. It was dead. So they went to another one, and their car died. And so, yeah, it does happen. Still happens. I had that happen as well in Nissan Leaf, I don't know, 8-9 years ago, something. And I was in Europe, and I drove to a charger, and it was flashing. It was like the turtle mode thing. It was going on, and I crawled up to the charger, thinking how lucky I was. Pretty lucky, Ben. Yeah, and Gil, I'd like to apologise on behalf of the British people for dropping nuclear bombs in the middle of South Australia. I apologise for that in the 60s, I think. It was very naughty. Yeah. 2. So which chargers do you have, Gil? Do you have what company runs those chargers? Are they reasonably priced, or are they extortionate, or are they reasonable? Yeah. So I've never driven the Shark. I'd like to give one a drive, but I just have been very preoccupied and busy. And I've driven loads of utes, and I generally, none of them feel overly good or overly safe. I refer to utes as a farm vehicle, and don't get annoyed, but I do think they're at home on a farm more so than on a road. But then when you drive in Australia, it's quite rural. They're big trucks that drive up and down. They tear big holes in the road, and I think hatchbacks could easily get stones thrown at the windows had that happen, and also tires could pop really easily. So you're kind of forced into that. Having some sort of big pickup or a SUV or a ute or something with big tires, big wheels or whatever. But I just don't feel as though they drive overly well. But I've spent my life driving small cars or a Prius. Back years ago, that was the biggest car I had, really, a Prius. Yeah, so anyway, you can make a mistake like the thermonuclear device. Yeah. I only want one for my farm. You've got a farm. It's pretty cool. If I didn't have a farm, I wouldn't own one. Yeah. What would you drive then? My experience of driving rural in Australia is I got a stone thrown at me once. I've done loads of rural driving, but that sort of shocked me a bit, how the people that drive trucks here are a bit mad because they're very regulated in Europe. Truck drivers are imponderably more safe in Europe. Here, it seems like they give the licenses for truck driving to plonkers, and they zoom around. They've things flapping on the side, stones everywhere, wobbly wheels, and a stone hit the car windscreen once and smashed it. And glass came flying on the inside. Bit of a deal. That was a scary one. And I kind of thought, that's not very good. That could happen on any car, though. It's irrelevant if it's little. But the bumps in the road, there's so many of them from all the big trucks that I feel as though driving a hatchback is probably a little bit unreasonable for long term in Australia, unless you're really on it. Because you can't just assume that the road's not going to have potholes. And you can in Europe. You can generally do that. But, interesting. Probably some people don't know what I'm talking about, but in South Australia in the 60s, I think it's big. Australia is big, honestly, but South Australia is also very big. You can fit the whole of the UK in Queensland, for example. And I think it's like if you set off from the coast, it's 20 hours or 21 hours to get to the western side in a car. So that's just Queensland, one state. It's massive. And I think it was in the 60s, for whatever reason, the British were testing or trialing some bombs, and they set one off in the middle of rural South Australia. And I had a Golf wagon when I lived in a bigger town on the Murray River. Nice big famous river. But when I shifted to the Nullarbor, it just wasn't so useful, especially on the side roads. Yeah, nice though, nice to drive. My phone's flashing like crazy. Yeah, it'd be really nice to go to South Australia. I've never been, and when I looked at it, because I wanted to live in a cold place. I would never really live in a warm place because it's awful. But for me, I just whinge a lot. But South Australia looks like one of those golden nugget places where people haven't quite figured out that there are places outside of Sydney, Melbourne, and Brisbane. And actually, South Australia looks like glorious. And anyway, that's an interesting thing. But it's really nice. Anyway, it looks like nice, but it's quite a long drive. I thought the Murray River had dried out after the last time I was there. Maybe. Well, you'll know when they change the name on Google Maps to the Murray Valley, then it's dried up officially, I think. Yeah. So, any questions? I'm going to wrap it up because I've been on here for 1 hour 36 minutes. But if you've got any questions at all, anything, I will answer your questions. Why not? Just a bit of fun. The river is fine. Was there any last week's? Yeah. There we go. Yeah. Wow, so many comments. Yeah. Well, yeah. So anyway, if I buy a BYD Seagull, you will know. I'll let you know for sure. But you never know. In the next couple of years, something else might come up that's compelling and reasonable. But I've wanted a all over the place. Europe, basically Scandinavia, and I spend a lot of time in England visiting family, and I have this. I lived in Australia, and I decided to not live in Australia because it's quite far from Europe. I really love Europe because it's just really cool. I grew up, traveling around all over the place when I was a kid in Europe, and every year you'd go to Spain or Greece or Corfu, Portugal, Crete, whatever. And then I lived in Norway, and I'm used to that. And so when I moved to Australia, it's just you just drop all of that to live in Australia, and traveling back and forth is just not that viable. And I actually just love cold weather. Since I was a young kid, I always just loved cold weather. So, and it's never cold. So I just decided I live in. I've got some family in Norway, and I lived in Norway for many years. So yeah, that's where I live, and I love Scandinavia really. Sweden and Norway, they're beautiful, and quite remote, really rural, but nice. And the UK is nice. I really like visiting the UK because it's just a perk of life. I think I can just go to the UK and enjoy it and drive around and go to places and have I still have a National Trust membership, just because it's really cheap. I don't even think about it. I think it's like £14 a month, and I just pay that even though I'm not there. And then when I go, I will endeavour to visit some. The Seagull UK petition, yes. So I submitted that, and so I'll have to bring the audience back in with that. But yes, I've spoken to BYD about that. I was going to make a video about it soon, actually. Yes, thank you for bringing that up. So Tasmania, never been to Tasmania, always wanted to go, but it's quite far. And I actually considered, I do think on YouTube, when you look at someone, they've got they're clearly an English YouTuber or a Norwegian YouTuber or Australian. I'm kind of all over, but I've always been kind of all over really. But, I just decided to live and base myself in Scandinavia, basically, because I really love Scandinavia. It's really nice. But I also really like going to the UK and also just going all over Europe. It's just really nice. It's just brilliant. It really is. But in it, also an excuse to come to Australia is really nice. And I got this house here, but it needed lots of renovations, but I never really planned to live in it, just to have it and renovate it and do it up. And so that's kind of what's going on, really. So I've been here renovating this house, but I don't really plan to live here anymore. So, because I got this house at a time where I was thinking, should I live in Australia? No. So I decided to base myself in Europe, but I've got it now. So I've got to do something with it and renovate it, paint it, things like that. But Norway's the land of EVs, perfect place for an EV dealer. It is, you're right. But I don't know if any of you have thought about this. When every car on the road seemingly is an electric vehicle, are we going to call it an EV, or are we just going to call it a car again? And therefore, I won't talk about the latest EV news. I'll just talk about the latest car news. So it's an interesting thing. Yeah, it is. It is. But also Sweden is really nice too. So there was a big. I lived in Norway for a long time, and then I really like Sweden and Norway. They're basically, in my opinion, they're pretty much the same sort of place. The people are really nice in both places. Comparable, cost of living similar. Housing is way cheaper than most places. It's really nice. So, I don't mind if I'm living in Norway or Sweden either. Was my thoughts when I decided to go back to Scandinavia. Anyway, I watch Bjorn Nyland, who does long-range EV tests in Norway. Very funny guy. Yeah, funny guy. He is a cool, funny guy. I was put off of a comment, though, once where he said that he puts a certain thing on the thumbnail, maybe like that he's in the fast lane overtaking so that more people click on his videos and watch them. And I just thought it seemed a bit clickbaity, but at the same time, I like his videos because he's a good YouTuber and he's knowledgeable, and I like how thorough he is. But I like that was a comment that puts me off when YouTubers have that mindset, At the recent EV car show in November in Ireland, BYD Ireland. Wait a minute, I missed one. Well, if he's a funny guy, what am I? Apart from irritating. I watched Bjorn Nyland, who does, any report available on the charging network? There is probably, I know the charging infrastructure has gone up a lot in Australia, visibly, I can tell you that, but I don't have any numbers to give you, sorry. But a lot. And they know that because in Australia, the electric car sales really jumped up from 2022 to 23, 23 to 24. They were like way higher, monstrously higher. And so there has to be an infrastructure for that. But then also most people, don't really leave the city, or if they do, it's not really. People do. There's basically on the east coast of Australia, where basically 80% of the population live on the east coast between Melbourne and Brisbane. That road is fine. You can drive that, and it's catered for electric vehicles. So regardless, but the rest of Australia, I don't know. It's a bit unreasonable to ask for them to be everywhere because it's so big. I mean, you wouldn't ask for a petrol station in the middle of nowhere either. So at the recent EV car show in November in Ireland, BYD Ireland said, we would not be getting the Seagull until 26, 27, hence my going with the Insta. Yeah, that's true. So they are going to get, I know the UK and Ireland are supposed to be, so I believe, don't quote me on this, but the ones made in Hungary, they are going to make some right-hand drive versions in Hungary, which will go to those markets. That's my understanding from the person one of the two people I know at BYD. And that factory will be making them from 2025, the second half of 2025, maybe the last quarter. You should be able to order a Seagull this year, but you'll not get it until next year, unless they're really slow, 2027. But I think that's maybe just a safe and maybe a reasonable estimate. And that's nice. Modular nuclear reactor powered car. Yeah, they've got those in North Korea or something, probably. Yes, probably. What are your thoughts on? Why am I? Must be getting tired. My head can't think straight. But hydrogen cars. What are your thoughts on that? Either squirting it in, exploding it, combustion, or using a fuel cell and powering a car like that. I'm obviously, when you look at the data and you strip it back to the raw facts, it's not really viable, and it's not really compelling either, because they're not compelling, and it's not really viable because, I mean, you use, I think, just to transfer 1 kilogram, which is enough, is it, for like 70 or 80 miles, 1 kilogram of hydrogen fuel from a pressurized vessel into your car, 1 kilo of it is like 7 kilowatt hours or something, is it? It's a lot. It's a lot. So you may as well put it into a battery, and definitely I prefer that. Also, when they're 20 years old, and someone wants to buy their first car and they're 18 years old in 20 years' time, we can't reasonably expect them to be able to repair a hydrogen fuel cell or something with what's the PSI rating for a fuel, the pressure fuel tanks in a hydrogen car? Is it 13 or 30,000 PSI? It's a lot anyway, major. Also, I'm 100. Yeah, vaporware. Yeah, Elon will claim to have perpetual motion robocars before long. No, yeah, he will. Yeah, he will for sure. What about that Welsh car? River something or other. That's hydrogen, isn't it? Fine to be told I'm wrong. You're wrong. No, I'm just kidding. I am. Do you know what? I actually don't know. I actually haven't Googled it. I've never heard of it. So there we go. That's the end of my YouTube channel. I don't know about that. Wow, what an idiot. I just don't know. Also, I'm 190 centimeters. Tried the EC3, Renault 5, Dacia Spring, all failed the rear seat comfort test. Only the Insta allowed 2 tall people, 1 in front, 1 right behind. It's a TARDIS. Yeah, cool. I've never driven one. I don't know. I'm still waiting for someone to invite me to go drive one in Ireland, but or anywhere actually. But yeah, when I get back to Europe in a few days, in 3 days, I'm going to endeavour to drive one. And I think one of the first things I'll be doing is going to Amsterdam and Paris are the first 2 places I'll be going. And actually Manchester, Amsterdam, Paris, and then Scandinavia. So quite a bit of traveling, honestly, in the next 4 weeks, 6 weeks. Yeah. What about that Welsh car? Toyota thought they'd yeah. Toyota thought they got the march on everyone with all the work they did. Unfortunately, Tesla rolled the ball in a different direction. Yeah. Toyota, I think I shared a screenshot every like 3 years for the last 15 years. Tesla at Toyota keep tweeting that they're around the corner they're going to produce a hydrogen car and that it's game changing or something. And the best tech that we've got so far uses a load of electricity to just get the hydrogen compressed and put it into a car. So hydrogen Amsterdam, is that like a sort of are you saying or are you trying to make a picture out of those letters? Because I know what you're saying. No, I'm not going to that part of Amsterdam. No. No, not this week. Let's see. Hydrogen just wanted you to keep paying for expensive fuel. Yeah. Fuel. They don't like the idea of EVs and solar panels breaking the fuel addiction. No, but this is the thing. I don't know. Some of you are probably older than me, right? So, because I'm 35. But it seems as though, because I know that I could just be someone, and there might have been someone. Every decade there might be a person who's in their 30s go, oh, it's different now, but it does appear that we're in the middle of this massive shift, right? So it's the tech age where everyone's got GPS on their phones and tracking and stuff like that, infinite information on your phone. It does seem like with regards to sort of producing electricity and then just having it free and putting it into your car and being able to drive as long as you want. Yeah, it is also going to be very easy if you don't buy petrol, for example, or you don't buy hydrogen or diesel. They could basically tell everyone to have GPS in their cars, and you could pay per mile with a GPS box in your car, and therefore there's no way around it. But it definitely feels like we're moving into a new age. I think in some of the more corrupt countries on the planet, we're going to see some of this weird, more sinister tech. But I don't really buy into conspiracies, honestly. But it's funny that some conspiracies are true. They are. But oh, yes, I remember summer and tulips in hamster jam. Yeah, that's funny. I'm old. You're old. Well, if you are, yeah, I trust you. I trust you. I think. Anyway, so yeah, it seems as though I remember. I'm old enough to remember what it's like to just have a car with no data, no screens, or anything like that. And I know that people older than me, you enjoyed the time where you just had a key, nothing else, and no cameras, no speed cameras or anything like that. You could drive anywhere, anytime, and you were fine. It does have a different feeling to it these days because there's GPS all over and cameras and stuff like that. And, yeah, I wonder where it's going to go. That's my concern because where it is now, fine with that. No problem having 4G in my car. I don't mind the car sending a bit of data periodically to the manufacturer or whatever, for whatever reason, even if it's not the best reason. I don't mind that so much. I don't think most people do. But if it starts going a bit, I'm going to have to be careful with my words on YouTube, but if it starts getting a bit ropey and everyone has to have some sort of silly black box and it sends messages off and there's automatic braking on their cars and, and a police car wants to pull you over and they press a button and you get pulled over and stuff, the society will change. So I'm thinking in 30 years it's going to look and feel a bit different, but I hope it doesn't go too far off of what we had 30 years ago because it seems really nice in the 80s, people in the UK driving around in an Escort RS Turbo in the 80s in the countryside, and you didn't realize you were probably living in some brilliant, beautiful times. And now there's cameras everywhere and average speed cameras, and but it's different. But as it is now, I don't think it's really going too far. But I worry about that stuff in 30 years. Like I've heard in China, they use facial recognition to shame people when you jaywalk and cross over a road you're not supposed to, and they'll. But I don't know. Who knows? That's just something that came through the grapevine. I wonder if it's true. Got to get back to work. Sorry, Ben. I'll never forgive you for leaving. Thanks for making yourself available, and don't forget the video about the petition. Yes, I will. Yes, thank you. Feel free to email me. I still have an analog. Current car is a Fiat Panda. Best car in the world. Best car in the world, Fiat Panda. Big upgrade to the future with the Insta. Wow, cool. Yeah, so from that to, man, that's really cool. Yeah, Grand Panda is looking like me. Cool. Too much weight around them. Yeah, the next generation will probably have brain chips. Yeah, who knows? My first car was a 1063 850. I mean, I'm still young enough to be confused here, Gil. So 1063 850 Morris Mini doesn't mean much to me, but I know what a Morris Mini is. I know that bit. That was basic. Yeah. My friend's got a Mini, and he renovated it to just completely normal little tiny car with a thing, and it vibrates. It's crazy. It's called P.S. My wife thinks you are very cute. I'm thinking of banning her from watching your videos. What? Yeah. Naughty. Tell her. Yeah, I won't make any jokes. I'm not very good at pleasing myself on the internet sometimes. But tell her thank you. That's very generous, considering I look like this. I think the internet has crushed childhood. Yeah, what do you mean? What do you mean by that? Interesting comment, because I'm a part of this too, all this stuff that's going on in the world. And so many thoughts, and it's really easy to get dragged into the crappy loops on the internet and the algorithm. When as soon as you click on anything about broken Britain or Donald Trump or Elon Musk, you've ruined your month, frankly, because the YouTube algorithm will just try and get you stuck on it and just keep showing you stuff. And people are just sort of. But what do you mean? The internet has crushed childhood. I do sort of feel as though, because I'm not oblivious. In the 60s, 70s, 80s, it seemed as though they were the golden years, right? I could be wrong, but it seems like they were the golden years. No innocent, no outside play. We made phone babies. Yeah, crushed her. Oh, that's what you're getting at. No, that's true. Damn it. Yeah, that's true. Sad, isn't it? That's really sad. Guttering. No screenplay, outside play. Yeah, Also, I'm old enough, of course, to remember playing outside in the countryside, and I just had me bike and a hill and a dream and A&E for 2 stitches in your left leg once. But yeah, I had a great childhood. Yeah, I really did. Everyone probably has different experiences of life and childhood and stuff, but I had the best childhood. It was the coolest. And, not like a rich family or anything, not much money knocking around, just freedom. I just had freedom and a push bike and a dream, and I loved it. I went everywhere. Just as an aside, in regard to EV range, my father's new Holden wagon in 1964 got about 160 miles from a 9-gallon tank. 160 miles. Crikey. What gallon? So in gallons, what in liters is that? Are you talking about US gallons, or what gallons are we talking about? Because I think, is there like 4.6 liters in a gallon or 3.6 liters in a gallon? Regardless, that's a proper tank. That's not good, is it? Why? 64. But, a forest, a stream, and a dog. 90% of my childhood, it was picture perfect. Beautiful. I know. That's cool. It's really nice. This is one of the reasons why I'm not a big city person, because I'm not diagnosed with it, but I'm pretty sure I'm like 10% autistic or something like that, or in some way, because certain like leaf blowers and the sun and busyness, like hectic busyness, drives me mad. Can't stand it. I'm at my least happy when I'm in the sun in a busy place and I'm near someone leaf blowing with an electric leaf blower. They bug me a lot. But yeah. So I'm not a big city person, honestly. So I just like the idea that people are spread out, which is very, I don't know. Is that European? I don't know. It's hard to really know what European is. 30 countries, 700 million people. But yeah, for sure, I'm not a city person. And I'm happy being here. Leaded petrol. I am happy being here. Leaded petrol, smog, no internet, no PCs, dirty, noisy cities compared to what Norway is achieving. The future is quiet, cleaner, and looking up to the stars. Lol. I'm looking up to the stars. Yeah. EH wagon, 6-cylinder, 3-speed, about 16 miles per gallon. Wow. That's mad. Relative to now, girl, what was the petrol cost back then? Whenever that was it 60, 63 or 64? Yeah, what was the petrol price then? If you would say that what it was now in modern money, what was it roughly equivalent to today's money? Because in Australia, people do drive around in utes a lot. They really do. And Holdens, the fast ones. Yes, I miss the countryside. Yeah, madness. I get it. When I was a kid, I grew up as a young boy in the middle of England, in Yorkshire, in the countryside. Really nice. And I remember always wanting to see the stars and the sky, and I could never see the sky. It was always cloudy. That bugged me a lot. And now, whenever I'm in Australia, like now for the next few days, if I go outside, the sky is it's black, and there's the Milky Way, all of the stars just stretching across the middle, and then you always see shooting stars and things like that. And then a little light moving along the sky, a satellite with Elon Musk's face on it. And if you're very lucky and you've got good eyes, you can see a car with a little person waving in it. Yeah. So, well, it's been a long one. I only thought I'd do 30, 40 minutes, but it's quite interesting to chat, really. So, Gamer Trojan, I'm happy being here. Leaded petrol, smog, no internet, no PCs, dirty, noisy cities compared to what Norway is achieving. The future is quiet. Yeah, interesting, isn't it? Hard to remember. It was pre-decimal currency. Still pounds, shilling, and pence. I remember the fuel being about 33 cents per gallon. They sold fuel per gallon, did they? Yeah, still cheap now in Australia. I'm not sure about all of Australia, but in New South Wales and Queensland, it seems to be about 150, 160 for a litre of petrol, something like that. When I drive by and I see the signs, and then when you look at European prices for it, I think I don't know what it is in England. I don't know. It's about double maybe. And pre-ethic days, I only remember 35 cents per gallon. Metric. Oh, showing your age. Yeah. It's crazy cool. Why? But I'm just thinking though, 160 miles at a tank. That's shocking. Why? Because the last petrol car I had was a Honda Jazz, and that would do 400, 450 on 37 liters, maybe. Why? Crazy. That is really cool. Anyway, I'm going to go. And if you've got any questions, you have 1 minute to ask any questions you like. Like, for example, do I have legs? Yes, I have legs. One person did ask that once. They obviously have not much going on. €1.75 a litre here. €1.75 a litre here, or soon 24 cents per kilometer. Hey, yeah, that's so cool. From a Fiat Panda to an Insta. Man, that's the coolest thing. You're going to have a good year. You're going to have a really good year. That's cool. That's a proper little nice car. So as a YouTuber, I talk about this stuff, right? And I talk about electric cars all the time, and I talk about all the different brands, and there's a couple of things that I've noticed that really stood out in the whole last couple of years. One, the BYD Seagull means something very different to every other car, the BYD Seagull. Number two, the Insta is also the same as that. They're the two. There's something about them. People, there is. I don't know. I can't quantify this, but there is definitely a whole army of people who are waiting for something that's not a Tesla Model 3 and that doesn't have a name that's nuts like a Dong Feng, So it's kind of funny. Yeah, there's yeah. Anyway, yes, I let her watch as a treat. Hey, yes, yeah. Mwah. There you go, Gil's wife. That's cool. Good night. And yeah, that was nice to. I didn't actually get to meet you, but yeah, that was nice. You're like tickled pig. I can't deal with it. Wearing trousers, all those hidden legs. Yes, I always wear usually I wear trousers on these hidden legs. It's not so bad now. Where I am here in Tenterfield in Australia, this is one of the coldest places I could find. Hence why I'm here. But before I was in Brisbane in the city, and get this, if you're European, this is going to blow your mind. But it was so hot in my office where I would make my first videos, where Mimi the cat, before he got knocked down, it was so hot that in the daytime, with the air conditioning on full all day, it could only cool my office down to 26 degrees Celsius. So I would be roasting. So I'd be sitting there in my shorts or a shirt to make me videos and research things and edit stuff. But I was just roasting, honestly, roasting my arse off. It sucked. So yeah, I'm really glad to not have to endure that anymore. And it gets down to, actually in Tenterfield, it gets down to -12 in winter, -12 in Australia, which is pretty cool. And I don't know about where you are, Gil, but yeah, anyway, it definitely gets cold here. So that's part of the reason why I actually am here. But I'm excited to get back and get to winter again, obviously. How many legs? 3. I shouldn't have said that. Terrible joke on YouTube. But are you wearing trousers? Yeah, so I always wear 10% of the time I wear trousers. Are your toes in the right are your toes in the right order? I'm not going to make any Tasmanian jokes on this live stream. I refuse. Right, this was a bit of fun. Need to go get lunch. It's 12. Yeah. I'm sorry for taking up 2 hours. It was nice to be able to chat to you and whatnot. And yeah, you in Iowa? That's the coolest thing. Again, that's like one of the coolest things about being a YouTuber. There's people that message me and they're in like Tennessee or Iowa. I don't know if you understand how cool that is. It is. I mean, it's mad cool. It's just the coolest thing, honestly. And yeah, that's very cool. Iowa, -11 Fahrenheit. What's that then? -11 Fahrenheit. Damn it. That's cool. Anyway, yeah. I'm going to go. I promise I will go this time. So it was nice to catch it with you. And I didn't cough as much as I thought. That's very nice. And it was really nice. It's fun. So thank you very much. And I don't know who you are. I should just let you know, Erie. I'm assuming your name is not Erie. Yeah. We are here because you are cool. I'm not cool. Look at this face and accent. This is a handicap, is what it is. This isn't cool. This doesn't get me anywhere in life, for sure, apart from, with Gil's wife. But I don't want to talk about that. Good night. Thanks for the live feed. Yeah, Darren, thank you. And I'll see you in London in a week's time. And I'll buy you a drink. I will get you a drink when I'm there, whenever I visit, and we do a live thing. I'll bring you a beer. And yeah. Bonne nuit. Good night. Good night. And top of the morning to you if you're in Ireland. So yeah, enjoy the rest of the day. I just realised it's like sort of halfway through the day in Europe. So enjoy the rest of the day. So yeah, thank you. Melinda Bates. See ya, Melinda. Thank you for the live feed. No, it's my pleasure. And yeah, it's touching that you all actually sat around and listened to me rant on. Yeah, because I'm just a giant plonker, really. So that's pretty nice. Thank you. Have a good afternoon or night. I don't know why some Australians hear it almost midnight, but anyway, yeah, cool. Good night. See ya. See you, everyone.